everyone, my name is Julie Eagan. Welcome. I'm coming to you live from my house. This is going to be a gentle grounding yoga practice. So we'll go ahead and get started. One more thing before we get going into our practice. If you've been looking at the Yoga Buzz Facebook page throughout the last week, you'll probably notice that they've been offering a lot of Facebook Live yoga practices. And these classes are completely free, but if you have the means to do so and you would like to donate, we would really appreciate a donation. If you can't donate at this time, that's perfectly fine. You can still enjoy the yoga. So for this practice, you don't need any fancy props or anything. If you'd like, you can always grab a folded up blanket or a towel to place under your knees. Or if you don't have yoga blocks and you'd like something like a yoga block, you can stack up some books. But if you don't have anything, that's fine too. So when you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started in a comfortable seated position. So you might cross the legs, or perhaps you sit on the knees. Just take a moment to find a comfortable seated position in your body. And once you've found your comfortable seat, you might find a soft gaze on the floor, or allow your eyes to close if that's comfortable. And then from here, you can start to rock side to side on the hips, or maybe back and forth. Just settle in a spot where you can find equal weight in the hips, a nice solid foundation in the lower body. And from there, you can start to grow a little bit taller through the spine, through the crown of the head. And take a moment to notice, check in with the five senses. You might notice any sounds in the room. You might notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Perhaps noticing any textures that are underneath your hands. And then landing your awareness on where your body is making contact with the floor or your mat. And seeing if you can allow all of those areas of the body to completely release. Completely soften. Notice if you can allow yourself to be completely supported by your mat, by the floor underneath you. And from there, you can start to become aware of the body. I think it's pretty safe to say that most of us are experiencing some type of anxiety right now. And it's really common for your anxiety to manifest in your body in some way. And that could be different for all of us. So maybe notice where your anxiety or your tension is manifesting in your body. Maybe you take this time to soften through the jaw, release the muscles around the eyes, let the shoulders softly slide down away from the ears, and invite the belly to soften. Release any gripping in the fingers. Know that if softening, releasing is not available to you right now, that's fine too. We're just noticing without judgment. And from here, you can begin to become aware of your breathing. Not changing it in any way, just noticing. What happens to the body as you breathe in? What happens to the body as you breathe out? And please know that if staying with these internal sensations or the sensation of the breath feels a little bit overwhelming, you can always return your attention back to something external, a noise in the room, or maybe the feeling of wherever your body is making contact with the ground. So if it feels okay, I invite you here to take a full inhale through the nose, and an audible exhale through the mouth. We'll do that one more time. Full inhale. Audible exhale out. And from here, taking another full inhale through the nose. And this time, seeing if you can bring your exhale to be a little bit longer than the inhale. Doing that a few more times at your own pace, lengthening the exhale. We'll take one more full breath here. Before we start to move, please know that you're welcome to come to rest at any time throughout this practice. This is really just your window of time to honor your own needs. So feel free to take whatever you need whenever you need it. And when you're ready to move, on an inhale, you can start to float the fingertips up overhead. Maybe the gaze follows. And as you exhale, you can gently bring the fingertips back down to the mat. Allow the whole inhale to bring the fingers up overhead. And the whole exhale to gently float the fingers back down. We'll take about 3 more breaths here. Take your time. Bring the fingertips overhead once again. And then this time, as you exhale, you can start to take a big twist over to the right. Your left hand might come onto the right knee. Right hand might come behind the base of the spine. Your gaze might start to look over that right shoulder. As you inhale here, see if you can lengthen again through the spine. As you exhale, maybe you twist a little more, maybe not. Your next inhale, you unwind, fingertips can come up towards the ceiling. And exhale, big stretch over to the left. Inhale to find length in the spine. And exhale, maybe twisting a little bit more to the left. On an inhale, arms rise up. And an exhale brings the fingertips down to the mat. And from here, we'll bring the hands in front of the knees, coming into tabletop. tabletop position. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. If you would like to place that blanket or that towel underneath the knees, feel free to do so. So here, fingertips are wide. We'll press into the knuckles, press into the finger pads, press into the tops of the feet. Grounding down, finding that connection with the floor. And as you inhale, you can start to drop the belly, send the heart forward and up. The hips might start to lift. And as you exhale, you can press the ground away, chin coming in towards the chest. You can start to move your breath, your pace. Inhaling as the belly drops. And exhaling as you press the ground away, round through the spine. If you'd like to find any other movements here, feel free to do so. Maybe a swaying side to side of the hips, or a circling of the torso. Really make this your own. And back to those full breaths here. We'll take about 2 more breaths here to explore movement. And as you're ready, we can start to sink the hips onto the heels. The big toes can touch. The knees can be apart or together. You can let the belly rest either on top of the legs or in between the legs. Arms can come out in front of you, or if you'd like, you might allow the arms to be by your sides. Let the shoulders drape down towards the mat. Take a breath. Take some time here. You might rock the brow bone on the mat. Maybe let the hips sway side to side, or perhaps just stay in stillness. You might notice the back body expanding as you breathe in, and the belly softening as you breathe out. We'll take one more breath here. When you feel ready, hands come back under the shoulders. We'll press back up into tabletop. And then we'll slowly start to make our way down to our belly. The elbows can find the spot right underneath the shoulders. Feet are hips distance apart. We'll start to press into the tops of the feet, pressing into the top of the pelvis. And then we'll press up and out of the forearms, so lifting away from the mat. And from here, you can start to find a sliding forward action of the heart, pressing the heart between the biceps. And if you'd like to find some movement through the neck here, you might bring the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Take a breath. Slowly bringing the head back up, right ear to right shoulder. Take a breath, still pressing up and out of the forearms, sliding the heart forward. Notice if you can keep the tailbone pressing down towards the ground. And when you're ready, gently bringing the head back up. We'll lower ourselves down to the mat. Slide the hands under the shoulders. We'll press back up into that tabletop position. Probably hear my dog barking outside here. And then you can start to bring the elbows down to the mat. If this is enough for you and your shoulders, feel free to stay here. Or you might start to walk the hands out a little bit further in front of you and let the heart melt down towards the mat, coming into extended puppy pose. So this can be a little bit intense in the shoulders. Feel free to place your books or your block underneath your chest if you'd like. Two more full breaths. back between the hands. You can start to walk the hands back under the shoulders, tabletop position. And then when you're ready, you can start to tuck the toes. Slowly send the hips up, downward facing dog. So take a moment here to shift around, get comfortable. Again, finding that connection to the ground with the hands, pressing into all 10 knuckles, all 10 pads of the fingers. Lifting up and out of the wrists by lifting the hips up. Maybe you start to pedal through the feet here. You can release the head and neck, maybe shaking yes or no. Or if you'd like to stay in stillness, that's fine as well. Take a breath. When you feel ready, you can start to tiptoe the feet up to meet the hands at the front of the mat, coming into forward fold. So this is going to look a little bit different for everyone. Some of us can bend a little bit more in the hamstrings. If you're tight in the low back, you can bend the knees. This can be more of a crouch. Really make this position what you need it to be. You might start to sway side to side here. Grab opposite elbows. Let the head and neck release. Take a breath. When you're ready, on an inhale, we'll lift up halfway, long spine, hands come to the shins or the thighs, slide the shoulder blades down the back. Audible exhale here, let it go. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale halfway. Exhale, let it go. Last time. When you feel ready, press down through the feet. Slowly rise up to stand. Take your time. Once you're ready, we'll roll the shoulders down away from the ears. And again, come into that connection of the feet and the floor, pressing into all 4 corners of your feet. Notice that support underneath you. And from there, you can start to inhale, allow the arms to come up overhead. And exhale to take a big stretch over to the right. So you might explore here pressing into the left foot, and notice if that opens up the left side body a little more. An inhale brings you back up, and an exhale takes you over to the left. Inhale to rise back up. We'll soften through the knees, gently fold forward over the legs. Inhale to lift up halfway, find that long spine. Exhale to fold forward. You can bring the hands to the floor or your books or your blocks. You can start to step the right foot back and lower the right knee down to the mat. So take a moment to get comfortable here. You might adjust your stance, maybe walk the left foot out a little bit more to the left. And then from here you can start to bring the hands either onto the left thigh or maybe you let the arms come up, hands touch overhead. Take an inhale. As you exhale, you can let the fingers come back down to the mat or your blocks. We'll tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step it back, downward facing dog. Again, just a gentle reminder to take a break whenever you need it. You can come into that child's pose or any other rest shape that feels comfortable for you. When you're ready, again, we'll tiptoe the feet up to meet the hands at the front of the mat, forward fold. We'll take those 3 full breaths here as we inhale halfway, find your long back. Audible exhale, let it go. 2 more times. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, let it go. Last breath. From here, bend the knees, hands to the mat, left foot steps back, lowering the left knee down. And again, you choose. Hands can come up to the right thigh, or maybe arms touch up overhead. Inhale. Exhale to let the fingers come back down. Frame the foot. We'll tuck the back toe, step it back, downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths, and of course you can always bring the knees down if you like here. And in your own time, we'll start to make our way to the front of the mat, finding your forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. We'll press down through the feet, and this time you can let the fingertips reach out and up overhead as you start to rise up to stand. And exhale brings the hands together in front of the heart. Take a moment to check in. Again, reestablish that solid foundation of your feet on the mat. And when you feel ready, you can start to peel up the right heel. And you can start to kickstand the heel onto the ankle. And this might be your tree pose. If you'd like to kind of explore a little bit more here, you might bring the right foot up to the right calf. You might use the hands to help the foot up towards the thigh. You might keep hands at heart center, or maybe you let your arms rise up overhead. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. Take a breath. Perhaps finding a spot to focus on that is unmoving on the floor or the wall. Maybe noticing what it feels like to hug in the muscles around the belly, and notice if that affects your balance. And when you feel ready, we'll start to gently bring the right foot off of the left leg. We'll point the knee forward. It's okay to fall out and come back in. You might stay here, or maybe you start to find a twist to the right, bringing the left hand to the outside of the right knee. The right hand can come behind the back. Take a breath. If you feel super comfortable here, you might explore lifting the right knee up a little bit higher. One more full breath wherever you are. When you're ready, the right foot can come down, arms reach up overhead. Soften through the knees, fold forward. Inhale to bring you up halfway. And then exhale, fold you forward. Find that connection to the ground with your feet and slowly rise up however you'd like. Hands can come through heart center. Shifting the weight over to the right foot. And again, you're finding your version of tree. So maybe that is just peeling the left heel off the mat. Maybe you find that kickstand. Or if you'd like, you might explore bringing the foot up onto the leg. Ooh, you might be a little bit wobbly, like me. And again, figure out what you want to do with the hands. They can stay here, they can be on the hips, maybe up overhead. Take a breath. When you're ready, you can start to peel the left foot off of the leg, point the knee forward. And again, maybe you stay here, maybe you find that twist over to the left. Notice if you can relax the shoulders, relax the muscles in the face. One more full breath. When you're ready, unwind, arms reach up overhead, left foot comes down, and gently fold over your legs. Inhale to lift up halfway. And then exhale to fold forward. Pressing down through the feet, inhale to rise up. Exhale, hands come through heart center. So from here, we'll take a big step back with the right foot. So nice big step back, and then you can spin the right foot to the ground. So the pinky edge of your right foot is parallel with your mat if you have one. You can bring the arms out into a T, coming into warrior two. Gazing out over the left fingertip. Again, finding that connection to the ground, pressing down through the feet. And on an inhale, you can start to straighten the left leg. Hands can come up overhead. Maybe your gaze follows. And an exhale to tee out the arms, bend through the left leg. We'll do that 3 more times. Your breath, your pace. Inhale up. Exhale to bend. From here, hands can come to the hips. We'll straighten through the left leg. Start to point the left toes forward. So both toes are pointed forward. You might even bring the toes in a little bit more narrow than the heels. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. Hands can come onto the hips, and on an exhale, you can start to fold forward to whatever degree is comfortable. So some of us might stay up a little bit higher here, just depending on where you are today. You might find the blocks, books, or the floor. Wherever you are, noticing if you can maintain that long spine. Never forcing anything, so feel free to come up a little bit higher if that feels supportive to you. You can let the head and neck release. Take a breath. Option to stay in stillness. Or if you'd like, you might walk the hands over to the left ankle or the left shin. Walk the hands over to the right. Find that nice full breath here. Walking the hands back through center. When you're ready, we'll slowly rise up, seeing if we can keep the spine long as we start to stand. And we'll start to turn the right toes to point out to the right. The left foot is parallel to the left edge of your mat. Arms come out to that T shape, bending through the right knee. Find your warrior 2. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, reach out through the fingertips. And on an inhale, we'll start to straighten the leg, reach up overhead. Audible exhale to bend. 3 more breaths. Take your time. The next time you find your legs straight, the arms overhead, we'll pause there. Hands come down to the hips. Start to turn the right toes forward. We'll turn the left toes back over to the left, warrior 2. And then from here, we'll start to cartwheel the hands down to frame the left foot. The back toes spin forward. We'll step back, downward facing dog. Take a breath. When you're ready, we can start to bend the knees, send them down to the mat. Untucking the toes, finding Balasana, child's pose. And again, making this however you want it. You can bring the arms out in front of you or behind you. Maybe you find that massaging of the brow bone. Take a breath. You might start to notice if you feel the heart beating. You might notice if anything has shifted mentally, or physically. An option to stay in stillness, or if you'd like, you can start to bring the hands out in front, and then you can walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. You might even walk them all the way off of your mat, shifting the hips back towards the back right edge of your mat. Option to bring the left hand out a little bit forward of the right. You might even place the left hand on top of the right hand. Take a breath into the left side body. to walk the hands back through center and over to the left. Again, walking the right hand forward of the left if that's available. Maybe stacking it on top. You might explore shifting the hips back and to the left. Notice your breath. If it feels okay, you can come back to those full belly breaths. When you feel ready, we'll start to walk the hands back through center. Slide the hands in towards the knees, coming into a seat. And we'll shift the legs out in front of us. And if you have a blanket or a towel, you may want to place it underneath your seat. If your knees need to bend here, that's fine. Maybe you place your blanket or your books or blocks underneath that bend in the knee. And again, we'll start to lengthen through the spine, let the shoulders soften. And then very slowly, we'll start to walk the hands forward, tilting from the pelvis until we start to feel an opening or a stretch in the back of the legs. So know that the intention is not to get super duper low towards the ground. Feel free to stay up as high as you'd like. Noticing if we can keep the spine long. Notice if we can keep the breath full. When you feel ready, gently start to walk the hands back up the legs. And we'll start to make our way down onto the mat. Again, take your time. From here, you can start to slide the knees into the chest. You might rock back and forth, or circle out the low back, just giving yourself a little self-massage in the back of the body. And as you feel ready, you can start to either bring the arms out to a T shape, or you might kind of goalpost the arms. Knees can come up over the hip points. And slowly allow the knees to fall over to the right. So if this is a lot on the low back, feel free to place that blanket or towel between the legs here. Option to stay, or if you'd like to deepen this twist, you might bring your gaze to the opposite direction as your knees. And if you'd like, you can take a full inhale through the nose. An audible exhale through the mouth. One more breath here. Inhale, fill up the belly. Exhale, maybe you let that left shoulder soften a little bit more towards the ground. In your own time, you can start to bring the hips back down to the mat. Knees can come back over the hips. And then gently start to let the knees shift over to the left. And know that you can shift around as much as you need. You're not stuck in one position just because you land there. Coming back to any breath that feels supportive for you. Option to stay here as long as you'd like, or you can start to bring the hips back down to the mat. Take any other movements you'd like to round out your practice to end your practice. And then we'll start to get settled in for our final resting pose, Shavasana. So feel free to allow the arms and legs to drape out to the sides. If you'd like to use your blanket or any of your other props that you might have, feel free. Or if you'd like to take any other shape for your final resting pose, feel free to do so. This is really just a time at the end of our practice to practice being still. So take a moment to get comfortable. And once you've shifted around, and again begin to come back to the body, come back to the breath. Notice your body laying on the floor. Coming into contact with your support beneath you. And again, you might notice anywhere you feel any tension or clenching. And perhaps you give yourself permission to let those areas soften. You might let the arms and legs be heavy on the floor. The spine be heavy. Let there be space between the top and bottom row of teeth. And if it feels okay, you can come back to your breath. Taking a full inhale, noticing that upward energy of the body as you breathe in. And as you exhale, notice that downward energy of the body as you breathe out. Continuing to notice this wave-like rhythm of breath. Perhaps focusing our attention on this wave of breathing for the next moment or so. Please know you are welcome to stay in this shape for as long as you'd like. I thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I will be back with more. And be sure to check out the Yoga Buzz Facebook page throughout the week for a lot more yoga practices. Thank you so much.